today's video, I'd just like to share that 94% of my viewers aren't subscribed. So if you are feeling generous, be sure to drop a like and a sub, and let's get right into today's video. Thank you. Howdy, I'm Daxio, and this is Plugged In News. And in today's pin update, we have Capitol Police Chief dropped request for armed National Guard members to be on standby for Saturday's rally after Pentagon discussions, as well as U.S. Coast Guard makes contact with 4 Chinese naval ships near coast of Alaska. Let's get right into that. And for the first story today, this is coming from the Washington Post by Carol D. Lenning, and it is Capitol Police Chief dropped request for armed National Guard members to be on standby for Saturday's rally. You know what this sounds like? Another 1-6 redo. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But it goes on to read, the U.S. Capitol Police Chief formally asked for 100 armed National Guard members to be on standby for a rally this Saturday at the Capitol in case it turns violent, but he withdrew the request at the urging of a top Senate security official who said he had not followed protocol. Days later, Chief J. Thomas Manger instead asked for unarmed Guard members after conferring with official Senate Sergeant-at-Arms Karen Gibson and the Pentagon, according to internal correspondence and three people familiar with the discussions. The Guard members would be armed only with batons and would be accompanied by armed police. On Friday morning, the Defense Department approved the request for support, saying unarmed soldiers will be stationed at the D.C. Armory and will deploy only if necessary. It's highly unusual for armed National Guard members to respond to protests, and strict rules must be followed in such cases. I would say that most likely the reason why they have National Guard there and why they're trying to get them there is because a lot of the police are quitting, and a lot of the police have quit within the recent year, 2 years. So that's most likely one of the reasons why they need armed National Guard there. I believe they needed them in Kenosha too. Why? Because there was riots. You never know when there could be a riot. You're not preparing for the future by not allowing these guards to be armed and not allowing more of them. Either which way, I don't care what side you're on, left or right, what kind of protest you're doing. If there's a possibility that it could turn into a riot and there's a bunch of people, I do think that the National Guard should be there, in my opinion. But the change to the chief's original security plans infuriated some Capitol Police officials, then privately argued it was a foolhardy repeat of a central mistake that had left the Capitol so vulnerable during the January 6th insurrection, not preparing for the worst, according to interviews with 3 people familiar with the dispute. So again, yeah, not preparing for the worst. What can I say? They're setting it up for the worst. That's what it looks like to me. Anyway, I mean, they added fencing and stuff again, so like that's gonna work like last time. Anyways, this next story is coming from the Daily Wire by Ryan Saavedra, and it is U.S. Coast Guard to makes contact with 4 Chinese naval ships near coast of Alaska. And it goes on to read, the United States Coast Guard said in a news release this week that it made contact with 4 Chinese naval vessels at the coast of Alaska, or near the coast of Alaska. Crews interacted with local, national, and international vessels throughout the Arctic during the deployment. Bertholf and Kimball observed 4 ships from the People's Liberation Army Navy operating as close as 46 miles off the Lutiken Island coast, CG said in a statement. While the ships were within an exclusive U.S. economic zone, they followed international laws and norms and at no point entered U.S. territorial waters. The planned task force included a guided missile cruiser and a guided missile destroyer, a general intelligence vessel, and an auxiliary vessel. The Chinese vessels conducted military and surveillance operations during their deployment to the Bering Sea and North Pacific Ocean. The statement added, all interactions between the U.S. Coast Guard and plan were in accordance with international standards set forth in the Western Pacific Naval Symposium's Code for Unplanned Encounters at Sea and Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea. The statement comes as China has showed increased aggression towards the United States under the Biden administration. I wonder why. Including mocking and disrespecting the U.S. on U.S. soil earlier this year, Biden faced harsh criticism after the meeting. China is slowly expanding their step, it looks like. That's all I got to say about that story. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, drop a like, drop a sub down below, drop a comment, let me know how I'm doing, let me know what I can do to improve, and thanks for staying plugged in. Peace out, crew.